So this is a short video on developing your research question for your extended essay in the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. Um, Once you have decided on your topic, on your subject area, you've selected a supervisor, you've asked them, they've graciously accepted, they're very happy to supervise you. You need to think about what your research question is. And this is one of the hardest things to do in an extended essay. You need to do a little bit of research before you develop your research question, because if it's a good research question, you can't automatically know out of thin air what your question's going to be. It has to be based on some information that you know, some information that you've read, and some places where there are questions where you think there's an interesting thing to be researched. So if you look at what page is this? 79 of the EE guide, which is sort of the Bible for, or the Quran, or whatever for the extended essay, there are 5 steps to developing a research question. Um, the first thing you want to do is choose your subject and your topic. Wonderful. And you want to figure out what is your broad question. So if you're thinking about feminism, for example, and you want to talk about the role of African American women in the feminist movement of the 1960s in the United States, that might be a great topic. You want to do some preliminary reading. If you started out just with feminism, you're going to have to dial it down a little bit and make a more specific topic, because that's too broad. You're not looking at first wave, second wave, third wave. You're not looking at a specific group. You're not looking at a specific influence. You want to get pretty specific. So you're going to do a little bit of preliminary reading. And, probably when you look at the role of African American women in the feminist movement, you're going to see a lot about intersectionality, for example, which is something that, has been discussed a lot as part of the most recent wave of feminism in the 21st century. And you might say, you know what, that's really interesting to me. I want to write about intersectionality. Well, that's great. But remember, it's not a report. So what's your question? You want to carry out some preliminary reading on that intersectionality. Who are some of the important writers in this time? What kind of articles can you read to sort of inform your practice? Why are you interested in how intersectionality relates to feminism? How has it impacted the feminist movement? You might then read about how the women's marches were criticized because they didn't take into account intersectionality, and some people of color were felt left out when it came to those big marches that were put on. That might get you closer to your topic, right? Then you may think about writing about, how inclusivity or exclusivity in the women's movements or the feminist movements of the 21st century have created a sense of divisiveness in that community. That might even get you closer to that research question, but you'd have to do a lot of reading to get there unless you knew all those things already. You want to consider those emerging questions. How, why, to what extent? Those are good starters for how you're going to ask those questions. Remember, it's not a report. It's an analysis of information that exists and research that's been done, and you're bringing it all together and you're showing how you do that. And that's what writing an extended essay is like. So think hard, do research, ask yourself questions, look at all the available information, and come to a good conclusion. That will be your research question. That is just your starting point.